Hello everyone. It's a great pleasure to be with you today at the CSPC conference in 2025 in Ottawa. My name is Nancy Erfani and I'm a postdoctoral fellow at Perimeter Institute for Theoretical Physics in Waterloo, and I'm also a CSPC volunteer. It's a great honor to interview Professor Arthur P. McDonald, who got the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2015, and he is also the Gray Chair Emeritus of the Queen's University. Thank you so much, Professor, for accepting our invitation.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So, since you are a physicist, let me start with this question that how the fundamental science like physics can help to inspire policy in Canada.
Well, there's a reason why Time magazine named Albert Einstein as the person of the 20th century. It's not because he invented the laser or the computer or the GPS, but it's because the theory that he put in place at the turn of the century basically laid the groundwork for applied research in all of these areas. The last bit of last few meters in a GPS assignment actually comes from general relativity. And so basic science underlies all applied science as well. But there's also, for some of the things that we work on, such as how has the universe evolved to its present state, the sort of interest that humans have had all through history. What is this world like, and how much can we understand about how it works? And the progress that we've made in the last 60 years in terms of our understanding of what's happened since the Big Bang, for example, is in itself a remarkable human accomplishment. So basic research is worthwhile in its own stead, but also leads to benefits for mankind.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, your answer brings me to the next question, because you witnessed the decades of the change in the science and research in Canada, and you also involved in a really great experiment in the Sudbury Neutrino Observatory. I just want to ask you that how should policymakers remember to ensure these large-scale and long-term projects to continue in Canada?
Well, we have a tremendous advantage in Canada with the existence of SNOLAB, because it is one of the lowest radioactivity locations in the world. The other one with the equivalent suppression of cosmic radiation, which we accomplished by being deep underground, is actually situated in China, and it's brand new. The track record of SNOLAB in terms of attracting and developing experiments that are at the cutting edge of the questions of how did the universe evolve? What is the dark matter that we know exists between the stars on a starry night that's 5 times the mass of what we know to be in the glowing matter? Questions like that are being answered, or addressed at least, by experiments in our underground laboratory that is attracting scientists from all over the world to come to Canada and work in these excellent facilities, which was exactly the intention of CFI in funding this in the first place. The words in that original request for funding were to build 3 laboratories that would attract the rest of the world to come and work with Canadian scientists. And that has been happening very much at SNOLAB.
Oh, right. So you mentioned about the collaboration, especially the scientists coming to Canada as well. I just want to ask you that how Canada can really strengthen this kind of the leadership in the big sciences that's happening around the world, the projects that you also mentioned, and how we can continue the collaboration despite all these geopolitical conflicts that you're facing.
Well, fortunately, basic science is a very open activity. That is, we publish openly in the literature, and our relationships with scientists, even in countries that have a very different governing system than we have, are very good. And that's something that we think can enable scientists to be an example for the world in how to have international collaboration. The approach that is taken in science, of course, is to seek the facts, seek the evidence, and prove to the rest of the world that what you have done is in fact correct. We have nature as a wonderful measure of the correctness of what we're doing, not to mention the peer reviewers on our publications. And that's an approach that I think in general could be very valuable, is very valuable when applied in general political discussion. Evidence-based decision-making, which is an essential part of basic science and a very valuable part when it's applied also in governmental decisions.
Yeah. You mentioned this evidence-based decision-making. Turning back from the federal government decision regarding the science, focusing on Ontario that you did your job there. How do you think that the funding situation for Ontario universities is right now, and how we can help it by progressing it?
Well, the funding situation for Ontario universities is terrible, to put it simply. If you look at the amount of money that is being given to the universities directly by the province of Ontario, it's approximately $8,000 per student. The average, and none of them are particularly lower than this, for all the other provinces is about $15,000. So 57% of the average only in the province that we expect to be a science and technology leader. If you compare that with the United States, state-funded universities, they are all also at the $15,000 Canadian level. Compounded is the fact that 6 years ago, the Ontario government cut tuition by 10% and froze it for the last 6 years, leaving the universities in a very difficult situation, except that the government said you can charge whatever tuition you want for international students. As a result, universities, and by the way, the story is essentially the same for colleges, training institutions, they enlisted a lot of international students and as a result managed to balance their budget. Now what's happened is that the federal government has come in and cut very significantly on international students available to the universities. And so the universities are in a lot of trouble. And Ontario, which states that it is an innovator and a strong place for science and technology to take place, is not providing enough money to the universities for an adequate education for the next generation of individuals that we really need for our industries. And the same is true for colleges. So, as I said at the beginning, it's terrible.
So let me ask these questions that you mentioned about the role of the policymakers, the scientists, affected by their decisions, by cutting the budgets and other research and other collaborations. So how do you see the platforms like the CSPC can help to bring the scientists and politicians on the same table to discuss about these challenges?
Well, the Science Policy Center and the conference that we're at right now is a real breath of fresh air in terms of the discussions on science policy in this country. It started many years ago with a relatively small set of people who were interested in such topics, but now it's a must-attend type of conference with over 900 participants and with topics that are very relevant to whatever is the most pressing set of topics that you should be discussing and getting expert advice on from the community, which in fact is provided in the process of the panels that I listened to this morning and that are the characteristic of the conference. So CSPC is a very positive influence in terms of feedback to the government on what the tone of interest is within the community. And I notice that there are a lot of government funding agency and industry ministry people and civil servants who attend this conference on a regular basis for exactly that reason. They can get a very good feel for what is important to both the academic and the business community, and therefore be informed at one location at one time in a very good way.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It gives us a hope that the politicians and researchers has a platform to listen to each other and to talk with each other to solve the challenge that we have. Thank you so much for being here.
Really been my pleasure.
Thank you.